bottom is that we actually have to write a 600 to 1,000 word speech that we would be presenting as coming back in a few years' time as if we were in the same position as yourself, where we're actually now qualified chefs. So we're presenting to the grade 10 cohort who would be going into 11 and 12, thinking about kids who actually want to be or maybe take the hospitality route and become a chef themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys need to know, if they were you in your position, what would they have done? What career paths would they have taken? What choices would they have made when would they have started to think about it? All of those kinds of things. So they've got some questions prepared for you. If you just want to do it like that, it's very up to you. If you just want to talk, and then they can ask you the questions if you haven't addressed things. I don't know how you would like to do this. We'll just go with.
Well, we can go around the room. First, I'll just give you a little bit of a rundown of my career. At the moment, I'm running a little kitchen up at Yatala, a little place called the Gem Hotel. It's a nice cruise little place. It's on the up. It's an older style hotel that's been renovated. I've been a qualified chef for around about 33 years. It's a long time in this industry. Is anyone here wants to be a chef? The silence is deafening. Good job. No, well done. So you're all in hospitality because you want to do what?
This is the non-OP class.
The what?
The non-OP class.
Oh, okay. So
this is hospitality practices.
so you just want to learn.
They're just doing a subject.
You're just filling in a subject.
Yes.
So care factor's about this high, isn't it?
About being a chef, most of them I'd say yes. That's probably not the career path that they've chosen. Otherwise, they would be doing. I'm thinking OP level, and then going on and doing more serious stuff. So we do the same things. We just don't do the assessment tasks as in depth.
Okay. Cool. Well, my career has led me from being an apprentice. I did a 4-year apprenticeship. From that, I went on to do many roles from all around the country, overseas. I've run restaurants, I've run kitchens, I've owned my own restaurants. As chefs, we don't work a normal 40-hour week like you would imagine everyone else does, or 38-hour week. We're on call, we do split shifts. We do roughly a 9:30 start in the morning, we finish around about 2:30 in the afternoon. We start back again at about 5 o'clock and go through till close. So we can do anything up to 10, 12 hours a day, but we only get paid for 7.5 hours a day. I agree. Unless you can negotiate something and you become a salaried staff person. So that's where chefing is a different kettle of fish to being a builder or a hairdresser or whatever occupation you're looking at. But unless you have a drive for being in this industry, it's a very, very difficult path of life. What questions have we got? We can fill out more as we go. I'll start over here. You got a question for me?
Did you do hospitality in school?
I did it in year 8. I think everyone's forced to do it in year 8. Where do we make some sandwiches and some scones, and I wasn't very good at it. I was better in woodwork. I liked all the manual arts type things. But it wasn't until year 10 that I did an outside of school course, and we did an aptitude test to find out exactly who was suited to do what, and it came up with cooking for me, so I gave it a whirl. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in year 10. Does everyone here know what they want to do when they leave school? Yeah? Well, you're in front of me because I had no idea at year 10 and I couldn't be bothered doing year 11 and 12. I just wanted to get out of school as quick as I could. And this is like early 80s when there was a lot of competition for work. I wanted to get out there and chance my hand at it. And I was lucky enough to go and do a pre-vocational course at a TAFE college for 12 months. And then I went on to an apprenticeship after that. Next.
What made you want to be a chef?
There was no real drive at that stage. Like, we did that aptitude test and it said I could be a baker, a butcher, a chef. There was a couple of others. I think hairdresser was one of them. I've forgotten. I wouldn't even be a hairdresser. And I went through a system of looking at who earned the most money. And all chefs earn the most money. Let's be that. And like I said, I had no idea what I wanted to be when I left school.
Yeah.
I just gave it a chance. And as it developed, I got to know a bit more about this industry, and it took a little while, but I really learned to like it. And it's all I've done.
All my questions have been answered.
Have they? All of them?
What about salary? What about the salary range?
Oh, what's the
Like
salary
your starting range?
Good question.
Starting as an apprentice, like what do you think?
As an apprentice, you can expect to get paid not a lot of money. They work out you're on, I think it's roughly 40% of a normal chef's wage. There's varying levels of chefs. You'll be an apprentice, then you turn into a commis chef. And a commis chef is your first job outside of your apprenticeship. So you get paid minimum wage. You'd be on like a level 2 chef salary. And that's roughly $22 an hour. Then you've got level 3 and level 4, and then you go up, and there's different gradients. You become a chef de partie, which is in charge of your section. There's all different variances of being a chef. There's different areas. So when you get up to the higher echelon of being a chef and you want to run your own kitchens and run kitchens for other people, then you negotiate your salaries. I think the average salaries around these places at the moment for a head chef is around about $65,000 a year.
That's all.
Mm.
For those massive hours
For huge hours.
and lots of responsibility.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, this is one of the highest stress jobs in the world. It was categorised in the top 3.
I read in an article not long ago, just last week, about the shortage of chefs on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, there is, and it's Australia wide. I mean, like they're advertising in metropolitan newspapers to try and get chefs to go to the country areas to relocate. Is green light mean good?
Yeah, green light's good.
Okay. There's nothing else. It's just black.
It's okay, as long as it's recording your voice, the rest of it doesn't
Okay.
matter. So there's still a shortage of chefs, they're looking for more, but they're not upping the salary.
No. It's good, eh? Well, to up the salary, you go to a restaurant and you're going to pay $40 for a steak. So for chefs to get more money, you have to pay $50 for that same steak. Are you going to be happy to do that?
No.
No, and that's the issue. You go to a mechanic and he services your car and he says it's $400 to service your car. You don't think twice about that. But you want a chef to make something for you on the spot, cook it how you like it, and make you happy at the same time. Getting a car service doesn't make you happy. And you've got to do it. You don't have to go to a restaurant, but you want to go there to have something that's pleasurable and make you happy. But not pay much for it. It's weird, huh?
If you didn't become a chef, was there anything else that you really wanted to do?
I really wanted to be a wood turner. I loved working with timber. My father was a carpenter. He owned a timber yard, so I had ample opportunity to do it. But there's no money in it. You've got to face facts, you've got to earn money, and I was much better at cooking than I was at being a wood turner.
You said that you went and did, like, you didn't know what you wanted to do, so you went into hospitality because you took the aptitude test.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you have goals? Like, is this where you thought you would be now?
Had no idea. Had no idea what I mean, where do you think you'll be in 30 years' time?
Teaching.
Really?
Dead.
Dead?
Who said that?
I hope not.
I don't want to be old.
What do you consider old?
30.
You go stand in the corner.
Like, at
30 years on to how old you already are, and I'm there already, so I shouldn't get it. No, she said 30 more.
I had no idea what I was going to be doing in 30 years' time. I didn't think I'd be cooking. Once I got out of my apprenticeship, I wasn't real keen on being a chef. I actually went to a timber yard where they made roof trusses. Does everyone know what a roof truss looks like? It's the things that hold the roof up, right? Those big triangle things above us. And went and made those for 6 months just because I wanted to get out of the kitchen. And then I found that was intolerably boring. So I went back into cooking. And I've done it ever since. I've run, like I said, I've run restaurants. I've run award-winning restaurants. I've won awards. I've won medals in salon culinaires. There's every 4 years there's an Olympics for chefs that people don't know about. Australia is ranked in the top 5 in the world.
Wow. Have you been to that?
No, I haven't. I've worked with a lot of chefs that have. Once again, it's a selection process, and you've got to be in your top field to be able to go into those sort of things. The stress level of just being a chef anyway, compared to what it is to be competing in the Olympics, is unbelievable. So, and it's a time factor. You've got to train for those sort of things as well. They're very, very technical.
Can I take it back so that you guys can get some answers? Can we go back to when you started your chef training and then talk us through where you went from there, like how you started? So you went and did your apprenticeship.
So I started off, I left school, I went to a TAFE college and did a pre-vocational course for 12 months. And that gave me the basic fundamentals of cookery. It led me into an apprenticeship at Twin Towns Services Club. Twin Towns was the place to do your apprenticeship back then. There was no casinos, there was no Marriotts, there was no Hyatts or anything like that on the Gold Coast. None of those existed. When the culinary competitions came around, the top chefs were at Twin Towns. I did my apprenticeship in a kitchen where we had 100 chefs, 15 apprentices, 30 kitchen hands, and they were from all around the world. So we learned all different types of cookery. We were also taught to be resilient. We had 4 years of absolute punishment.
What does that mean?
We were brutalised, absolutely belted. You did something silly.
So physically?
Physically, yeah. We wouldn't walk into a call room by ourselves as an apprentice. We'd go in there with at least a couple others so you had a chance. Chefs would walk in behind you and just flatten you.
So like an initiation process or something?
No, just regular, every day of the week.
Wow.
Yep.
That doesn't still happen, does it?
Well, you guys these days have got this word bullying.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much, it would redefine the word bullying what I went through. But having said that, I'm a better person, I'm a stronger person for it. I know how to stick up for myself.
That doesn't make it okay.
It doesn't justify it, but you know, those people that I worked with as my apprenticeship then, I'm friends with today, believe it or not. So I know them. It was a character building exercise. I mean, like you didn't get bones broken or anything like that, but the humiliation was there to make sure you knew your place. You know, we were taught we were apprentices, and we did everything. And we would start at 9 o'clock in the morning and we'd finish at midnight. But having said that, we used to get our own bag. Like we'd duck down to the maintenance area and go get the welder out and we'd weld up the chef's toolboxes and things like that. So we had a way, and that's what taught us to be a little bit stronger. We would do things like that. So that led on to when I left my apprenticeship, I qualified. I was 17 and I went to work at Seagulls Football Club. Like I said, back then on the Gold Coast there were no 5-star resorts or hotels. There was 3 big clubs Twin Towns, Seagulls, and Terranor Lakes Country Club. And they were the places to work. They had the best chefs, they had the best food. From there, I went on to make roof trusses for 6 months. And then after that, I worked in various restaurants. Travelled around, there was a fellow by the name of Keith Williams, I don't know if anyone's heard of him. He used to own SeaWorld. He built SeaWorld. I worked on his boat up at Hamilton Island for 6 months as his personal chef. So it can take you a lot of places. It can let you travel and work and earn money at the same time. After that, it was various things, running restaurants and training apprentices. Not the way I was trained, but a different way, in smaller establishments. And then we just kept continuing on, and we are here today.
So apart from your formal training as like your apprenticeship, is there ongoing training for chefs, or is it just on the job kind of?
It's on the job. You never stop learning. We do every year. We'll travel off to. They do have seminars included in these food trade shows that we go to. Sydney and Melbourne. They have them in Brisbane sometimes, and they'll give us an idea of what the latest food trends are. We're always enrolled in magazines and things like that we've had sent to us to keep us abreast of what's happening and what's trending. What's the biggest food trend at the moment? What's everyone love to eat at the moment? Favourite food? Just food, all of it. So you like tripe and lamb's fry and...
I don't eat a lot of meat.
No?
I don't like red meat, but I still eat chicken and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a very pasta eater. Like, I love pasta.
So you say you love pasta. I mean, like, what about these pulled pork burgers that you see in... Yeah, that's a big trending thing. So those sort of things that are trending all the time. Sliders was a big one a few years ago, little burgers, and now everyone's doing food challenges everywhere, aren't they? There's massive burgers that you've got to eat within 30 minutes and stuff like that. You know, it's crazy. He knows what I'm talking about. He doesn't want smashing food.
Mexican restaurant that I go to, that they've just moved up to near Harbour Town. They used to be down Big One. They do pickle cactus. They do the hot.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
chili.
tried that.
Chili. I haven't tried it.
He
They get the paramedics there when you're going.
Yeah.
You have to tell them in advance.
he got
Have
so
paramedics
sick.
there. It's
He had
not
to
that
sign
hot.
like a whole declaration.
Yeah.
They had like everybody come out, time with like bells,
Yeah.
and then he just got so sick.
They signed
There's a
it.
show on pay TV, Man versus Food, and that's what he does. Or he just goes
goes
around.
around.
That. Yeah.
Eats all his
Adam,
food.
then Adam.
So yeah, I mean, like the answer to your question really is it's still on the job. I mean, in every restaurant you go to, they have a different way of doing things. In my position as a head chef, and I've been a head chef or executive chef for the last 20-something years, I have to know those food trends. I have to take those ideas with me to everywhere I go. And then I'll implement that and let other chefs learn from me. What was up to? You had no more questions. Your turn.
What characteristics and attributes do you need as a chef?
You need patience. I'm sure you've all seen cooking shows on TV like the likes of Gordon Ramsay, who yells and swears and throws things at all his staff. And, yeah. Well, that's not realistic. That's the way it was when I did my apprenticeship. Imagine 100 of Gordon Ramsays in one kitchen.
It just wouldn't work, would it?
That's how I did my apprenticeship.
You had to work every day. Yeah.
So you need to have patience. You need to be able to listen to people. You need to be able to deal with high levels of stress. And you need to have a sense of urgency. Because if someone needs something that you don't have, you make it happen. Otherwise, you don't get the money.
So overall, in your 33 years, if you were to list off now what like formal qualifications you have, like what were they, like the titles you have, like from the TAFE, like whatever that title was called?
Yeah, well, I'm a trade certified chef, so I have a trade, trade papers, as you would a carpenter or a bricklayer. They're all trade certified. I'm a trade certified chef. My resume is an extensive read after 30 odd years. It's more like a Bible. It's thick, you know, and it's not worth reading all the way through, you know. You highlight the things that have been good in your life. I mean, there has been times where at the end of every year we put in a group certificate to the tax department so they can add up how much money you've earned, how much tax you should pay for the year. At one stage, one year, I handed in 15 group certificates. I had 15 different jobs in 1 year. And that's not uncommon for chefs. They'll move around a lot. You go from restaurant to restaurant, you can have different owners that you don't agree with. You give places a try, places shut down, places burn down, you know, crazy things do happen. So, and once again, you're learning from each place. If you have a select group of restaurants on your resume that people can identify with, some of the more recognisable restaurants on the Gold Coast now, like Moo Moo's and Cha 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 and things like this, straight away as a future employer, I would know that you've come from somewhere that's substantial, that know their thing. So you're not going to waste my time if I employ you. Yep.
What do you feel is your most successful restaurant or most successful like project that you've done being a chef?
I would say in the early 90s I ran a restaurant called Daniel's Steakhouse in Surfers Paradise. We were a 5-star steakhouse. We only opened for dinners, no lunches or anything like that. We were a small restaurant. We were high end. We were like your Moo Moos and that sort of thing, your old Cha Cha Cha, but better. We sold, you know, $100 steaks, and this is in the 90s, which we'd be charging $300 for now. We had very good sommeliers, your winemen who would come out and sell bottles of wine to customers for, you know, thousands of dollars. We won the best steakhouse on the Gold Coast 3 years running, and we won 4 American Express Gold Plate Awards whilst I was there. I had apprentices that were judged best apprentice in Queensland whilst I was there. So I'd say that'd be my highlight. Won a lot of awards there. We were very successful.
I never asked them.
You've asked yours.
Yeah.
You just like to listen.
What's like a normal day for you? Like, what do you do during your day?
A normal day for me, I'll get to work around about 9 o'clock in the morning at the moment. Finish around about 2:30. I drive 50 kilometres to work, 50 kilometres home on my break. And I go back to work around about 4:30. I leave home, drive another 50 kilometres. Finish work around about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and drive 50 kilometres home. And that's an easy job at the moment. That's a real easy one. The previous one, I was running Club Helensvale. We had a large hospitality crew in there, and I would start there at 8 o'clock in the morning and I'd finish at 10 o'clock at night. More often than not, I wouldn't get a break.
I actually do have a question.
Go for it.
Do you like the career path you've chosen? Like, is it something that, you know, you've enjoyed and really...
I do more now than I did when I was younger. Like I said, I was a qualified chef at the age of 17, so at that stage still I was very young, and I was unsure on how it was all going to progress and what I was going to do with it all. But as I got older, I got to appreciate what I did and the art of cookery and what could be done with food. And the way you can present things, the way you can manipulate menus, the way you can get different flavours out of things. It just took a little while to get used to it. When I say a little while, I'm saying probably 10 years.
So creativity, I think, would be an attribute also that you would need as a chef. Would you say?
Absolutely. If you can think outside the box. There's a chef I worked with, you probably might have heard of him, Ian Hewitson. You've seen Huey's cooking shows on TV? Huey was the owner of a restaurant I ran for him. He's dyslexic, and he had an awful habit of putting things together back to front. And he would come up with some ideas through sheer fluke because of his dyslexia, and he would literally assemble things the wrong way and come up with a different product. And that happened quite a lot.
So you took kind of a negative and it actually worked out as a positive for him, just in the field that he's working in.
Yeah, very funny man.
I asked Tane's question, he's cranky. Go on then, open it up then.
No, they've all been asked.
All of them. You don't have any other questions you can think of?
I've got one. Are you responsible for the ordering and the stock taking and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Part of what I do, I guess my job description is apart from just writing menus and cooking food, I'm responsible for the ordering of all the food, the sourcing of all the products. The stock rotation is very important, otherwise everyone gets sick. Workplace health and safety. We have a process involved called HACCP. Has anyone heard of HACCP? HACCP is it's not legislated, it's not lawful, but it's a guideline that everyone uses. It was developed by NASA, and it stands for, HACCP is Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, and that is designed to backtrack and find out if someone gets food poisoning, where it came from. So if you hear of someone, there was an outbreak of, funnily enough, there was a heap of teachers up in South Bank that got food poisoning. There was about 180 teachers got food poisoning. It turned out it was from these eggs.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, that people were getting omelettes for breakfast in the morning, and they were able to trace it back from everything that was eaten by all the teachers to these omelettes. They went to the kitchen, they checked on all their processes that were in place. You've got to have food temperature logs, you've got to have your stock rotation logs, you've got to have your cool room and freezer logs. Everything's got to be kept up to date all the time. They were able to trace it back to a farm where the eggs came from, and they had a salmonella outbreak at that farm.
Wow.
So all the critical control points went from the sick teacher back to where they ate, back to the kitchen, back to the farm, and they were traced back. And it was, like I said, it was developed by NASA because the last thing they want is astronauts with diarrhea in space.
I think in New South Wales they brought that in about 1999, so when I did my hospitality and small business course. And I remember sort of like one of the first class that East Sydney came.
And yet it's still not a legislated thing. You know, I get a delivery from the butcher this morning and he will come in. First thing I've got to do is go down and check his truck and see what temperature his truck is running on. Then I've got a probe that I'll stick into one of the boxes and make sure his meat is at 1 degree. So then he can deliver it and I'll sign for it. Then it's my problem. Those are little things that happen every day. Stock rotation. So once the stock is delivered, everything that's in the kitchen gets pulled out, the new stock is put onto the shelves, the old stock is put on top, so it gets used first. So it's always being rotated, right? The old stock is you can use first. That's just part of it. Then there's rostering. You've got, I have percentages that I have to meet. We're giving a target. We have a 30% food cost. So at the end of the day, if I buy something in for $3, I've got to sell it for $9. On top of that, I've got to add in wastage. So if I get a large piece of rump, I'll lose 8 to 10% of that as I'm cutting it up. By the time I get a steak out of it from what I need to serve, I will lose that money because by the time I've cut it up, I've lost 8 to 10% of it just through the cutting of it. So it's got to be factored in.
So like as head chef, besides all the technical stuff like logging and stuff, on a night, what do you do? Like as head chef, do you kind of decide where you work? Like do you say, okay, tonight I'm going to be doing the steaks, or tonight I'm going to be doing the soups? Like you get to decide where you want to
Very
work?
much so. I mean, like I've got a team in place wherever I work to make sure that I have the strongest person on each area. Your kitchen's always broken down into different areas. You have your grills and your pans and your deep fryers and whatnot. And depending on the size of the kitchen, I'll either just run the show from the pass. I'll be the fella yelling out from where the dockets are. Dealing with customer complaints, I don't do that very well, to be fair. I have an issue with stupid people, and it's more of a belief than an issue. I believe if you're stupid, you should be told that you're stupid, you know, and that doesn't go down very well with stupid people.
That's not an attribute.
No, it's not. It's a weakness, to be fair, but I mean, like, I just don't do stupid people. So, I will deem where I need to be on that night, on any given night, as to where I can be most effective.
How would you deal with someone calling in sick on a night where you're like busy and you've got,
It's a funny one. I mean, in this industry, chefs don't ring in sick. You don't have sick days. You have a sick day, you may as well roll up your knife kit and leave. I hope you've got a question.
What's it about?
I don't know.
Pressure. See, this is pressure straight away, isn't it? Yeah, it's a stressful job being a chef. I mean,
What do you do like on sick days? Like
if someone rings in sick, I'll ring them and find out why they're sick. If it's legitimate, and they have to prove to me it's legitimate, like they have to have their arm being amputated or something like that. If you've got a cold or a runny nose, that's not good enough. You come to work. You know, if you've got a headache, you come to work.
No, because you can treat those symptoms and you can make sure you don't sneeze on that food and you wash your hands and you do all that stuff.
Absolutely. We have sanitisers, we have everything that's available to make sure that you're okay to work.
And that's why I say, when people come to the kitchen and say, I can't cook today because I'm sick, then get to sick bay. Because if you're too sick to be here to cook, you should be home.
You should be in intensive care if you can't cook.
So like if they call in sick and you're going, okay, you're not actually that sick, like you're just putting it on, and they go, well, I'm not coming in, do you just say, get out then?
No.
Yeah, you get a DCM. Don't come Monday.
Oh.
How often do you rotate your menu, or change your menu at your
Where I am at the moment, we're doing it every 6 to 8 months. We rotate the menu.
And who does that? How do you do that?
I'll do that. Like I said, once again, you follow food trends, you look at your magazines, you see what's trending around the place and see what people are going for. It also depends on the environment you are in, where we are out there at the Gem Hotel. We couldn't put in more high-end food. We're a steak and 3 veg type area. We couldn't do a braised duck with an oriental orange and ginger sauce or anything like that. We couldn't do that out there. It wouldn't sell. So you've got to market for your clientele in your area. We follow what people are doing on southern edges of Brisbane. Your Logan and Beanley area and what's going well in those areas. So we try and keep it fairly topical. But yeah.
Do you buy local? Do you have a relationship with your local?
We source all our fruit and veg from the Brisbane markets, and that comes through every second day. Our meat comes from Hope Island. He sources that from Killarney Meat Works, which is out near Warwick. So yeah, it is all local. A bit of our seafood is imported purely because of cost. We don't have the luxury of buying a lot of Australian seafood because of the expense. A lot of Australian seafoods will be harvested and sent overseas as soon as it's harvested. We don't even see it in this country. It just disappears because the likes of China and Japan and that will pay top dollar for it. Where they'll pay $30 a kilo for prawns, we wouldn't. So we do what we can to source best product at best price. More often than not, it is local, but we still have to use some imported product. But getting back to your sick days, who was sick day question?
Great.
Right. So I'll give you an example. I worked in the mines. I was a chef for a company out there. We had two chefs. One did breakfast, the other one did dinner. We had 600 miners in site. So one chef did 600 breakfasts, the other one did 600 dinners. And they ate well. They ate everything. The selection was unbelievable. At any one time, those miners could ring the pit and say, I'm not feeling well today, and not go in, and their job would still get done. It was no big deal. Can you imagine if one of those chefs rang in sick? 600 miners knocking on your door going, where's my breakfast? Where's my dinner? It doesn't happen. It can't happen. If you go out tonight to a restaurant and the chef's rung in sick, and you've got a bunch of people working in the kitchen there that don't know what they're doing, you don't get fed. You wouldn't pay. You'd walk out. Chefs turn up.
So what happens if you need to take holidays or something like that? What do you do then?
You have to orchestrate a lot around it. Generally, as a head chef, as much as I love the thought of holidays, I don't normally take them. I've gone for years and years on end without taking any holidays whatsoever. How many holidays do you get a year at the moment?
You guys get 14 weeks.
Oh, holidays.
14 weeks. As a chef, we get 5 weeks a year holiday.
That's 14 weeks of Christmas holidays.
So for those 5 weeks a year, we don't take them. They just get accrued. They just keep stacking up, mounting up. When I have had enough, normally what I do is I'll finish up a job. Before I start a new job, I'll take my holiday pay and I'll go on a holiday. That's normally how it works for me.
So you don't take them until you're ready to move on to the next job.
Sometimes I will take one during a job, but I'll make sure everything is in place before I go. I have sous chefs. My sous chefs are people that are second to me, and they know the ins and outs of a kitchen. If it's a smaller kitchen, then I'll make sure that I'll get someone in there to help that sous chef do the job. But I'll have all the ordering done before I go. I'll have everyone in place.
In the type of kitchen you're in now, is there just one head chef?
There is, yep, there's only ever one head chef wherever you go. Sometimes you can go to larger 5-star resorts where you'll have an executive chef. An executive chef will, more often than not even wear a chef's tunic. He will just go to work, sit in his office and take care of all the ordering. He'll do all your projects, your function correlation. He will look after food costs, staff costs, all those sort of things. So his job is full-time in front of a computer screen. I can think of nothing worse. It's more fun cooking.
So what would your advice be to say these guys here said, yes, I want to be a chef. What would your advice be to them about leave school at the end of year 12? What do they do? What should they be doing?
If you wanted to get into this career, I choose my words carefully here, and you were fair income about it, you really wanted to do it, I would look at maybe a TAFE position where they'll give you an idea of what things look like, what's expected of you. Make your basic cookery items, like your basic sauces. They'll teach you basic food equipment, chef's knife skills and things like this will be taught to you. That's a fundamental good starting area. You know, that's where I started. I believe in what I was taught there. I think it's a good learning curve. Rather than being thrown in the deep end and starting an apprenticeship straight away, you'd be flat out lucky to get an apprenticeship without some sort of lead into, and a TAFE course would be definitely the way to go. There's school-based apprenticeships now that you're learning. You've got a fully decked out kitchen in there that is capable of teaching school-based apprentices and giving you guys a real good heads up, a good start. And most schools have them these days. I never had anything like that. We had an old 4-burner stove thing. But yeah, I mean, if you didn't do it here, outside of here, once you left school, straight into a TAFE college.
So we have an RTO that comes in with our year 10s to do a hospitality certificate. I think they do certificate 2.
Yep.
In that kitchen, but nothing like that for the year 11s and 12s.
I've had a lot of students your age come into kitchens and work with me, and they've decided that it's not for them. And that was through school-based apprenticeships, school-based training, or whatever the case may be. And that's the time to find out that you don't want to be a chef, because you've still got plenty of time to change your mind and go and do beauticians or teachers or whatever you want to be. But yeah, chefing life is not an easy life. And that's why we're all cranky. We're all cranky all the time.
So when I worked at Helensvale High School, we had a chef on staff there who went to his postgraduate diploma in teaching, and he only taught hospitality kitchen operations certificate in school for year 11s and 12s. So for me, that was a great learning experience as well, because I taught the certificate as well, but I didn't have the chefing experience that he did, because he, like you, worked in restaurants, worked for himself, done all of that kind of stuff. So he had all these great technical skills and was able to just mentor these students. So at a school like that, we had lots of students who left and wanted to be chefs because they had that.
They've got a good program there. It works well.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Before I came here, but it was a different teaching capacity for me. It was great. I was teaching kitchen operations, and it was more hands-on stuff, and it was competency-based as well.
And there'd be so many things that are like.
So there's no exams and assessment like that. Yeah, because
Is it more like
cert?
Yes,
it's
like, you know,
it was a cert.
yeah.
Yeah. Over 2 years, and Pete Whitehouse is who I was working with there.
Yep.
He's still there. He's amazing like that. So you can always do that. You'd make more money. You'd make more money.
But I get holidays. I get 14 weeks of your holiday.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
You have 14 weeks paid holidays.
Oh, jeez. I can't even think about that.
So what do you look for in an employee? Like,
If you were employing somebody, what would you be?
yeah,
Is that what you mean?
yeah.
I was only saying this morning that I've never read a bad resume. Right? Anyone can write anything they want on a resume. They could say they were personal chef to Michael Jackson. How do I check that? He's dead. So it could be anything. You can make stuff up. Right? And a lot of people will get creative with their writing and they will make things up. So the best thing I can do is find out a group of restaurants that they've worked at, and if I know those restaurants, I'll know whether they're capable of doing the job. Then I'll give them a start. I'll give them a week's trial. And I'll say to you, here's 50 kilos of barramundi. I want you to fillet it. I want you to skin it. I want you to debone it. And I want 200 gram portions. I want them all crumbed.
Oh my god.
You have an hour.
Oh my god. Is that a long time?
An hour, you should knock that over easy.
If you've got the experience that you've written on
So,
your resume.
This is the thing, you've got that on your resume, you
Not
reckon
just because you come in today.
you're qualified, I've read your resume, that's what I want done. Then I will leave you alone for that hour. I'll come back later, and when I see you walking around in a circle scratching your head, I go,
So you don't like ring up their degrees on their resume?
like I said, a lot of the times you'll go through references and there's never a bad one. Oh yeah, no, Fred Bloggs was really good, turned up and did this and did that.
And sometimes, like, I would say also, correct me if I'm wrong, that if you're working somewhere and you're applying to go somewhere else, if they want to get rid of you, they're going to give you a good reference because they want you to go
Really?
and get a job somewhere else.
I don't do that.
So don't guess.
No, I just go by.
It's terrible. Okay.
Look, I've had staff that have said, look, I'm just going to go out to my car and change my shirt and I'll be back in. I haven't seen them since, and that was 13 years ago. I don't know what happened to them. They just disappeared into a vortex. I don't know where they went. And that's happened a bit. Kitchen hands especially. I get a lot of people who apply for jobs because they have to apply for work to keep their Centrelink going. And I go, yeah, come on. And I know exactly what they're doing because I see it all the time. Yep, I'll start you right now. And they're, oh, really? Yeah, I'll give you a job right now. Oh, okay. I'll just go out to my car and I'll get my shirt. Never see him again.
That's
Gone.
so funny.
So, you know, then I'll get a phone call from Centrelink and they'll go, oh, did so-and-so come for a job for you? Nah. Never saw them.
Oh.
So I'm not going to help people who don't want to help themselves. But if I have someone that comes in and they give me a resume and I think, oh, mediocre work, there's my 50 kilos of barramundi, this is what I want done with it, and they do it, and it takes them an hour and 5 minutes, I'll keep them. Because I can make people go faster.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna say get rid of them.
Yeah, so I was like, wow.
Would you give them a start? Say they're willing, but maybe not so capable. Could you make them better? Would you ever have that mindset where you think I could put time into this person and I could make them better?
I have
Potential, but
a rule of thumb everywhere I go where I'll get in touch with an agency that has people with various disabilities and looking to try and get some of their people into workplaces. Recently, when I refer back to Club Helensvale, it's a large kitchen, it's a big place. I had a fellow there, his name was Matty. And Matty couldn't tell you how old he was. I reckon he's probably around about 40. And he had some issues. But I will always have someone that I can help. And he was able to function very highly as a kitchen hand. He could do vegetable prep for me. He could wash all the dishes. But having said, if I didn't keep an eye on him, he would disappear and go and start dancing with some of the customers. He was a special kind of person, but it didn't matter how bad your day was, Matty would come up and make you smile. He's a tremendous bloke, and he's a very good friend of mine. But I will always give people a chance to learn, and I will always be able to teach people. If someone comes up to me and they're a smart ass, you're out, you're gone. Sense of urgency is everything in this industry. You've got to get up off your butt and you've got to work and you've got to go fast. You've got to realise that if the food's hot, it's got to be onto the table as fast as I can possibly get it there. If I'm sweating, everyone else sweats too.
sorry. That doesn't happen.
Okay, we've got like 2 minutes before the bell's going to go. So if you've got any more questions, you need to ask it now. We're all done? Yep.
Does everyone here know what a cabbage looks like?
Yeah.
Yes. Like letters.
Like hard letters.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you all know what a cabbage? That's cool, because I did a class out here not long ago and someone didn't know what a cabbage looked like.
oh,
And it still weirds me out.
Ask it. What are your views on veganism?
that's a big trend.
Yeah. Seems to be
Like, did that,
trendy.
like, have you heard any, like, when you've gone to get, like, what's trending, has that come up?
There's a lot. Veganism, people with lots of dietary requirements like
Your views.
oh, I can't stand them.
Yeah.
I don't know how a vegan could possibly. How would a vegan mow the lawn? Would that upset them? Really? What happens when you cut sugar cane down? Oh. Well,
That's what my boss says. My boss says if you can't, like, if
Sugar
there's no
cane has
struggle
feelings.
to kill something, then it's not worth eating.
Exactly.
You have to struggle to kill it.
so where's this vegan going to live? Are you vegan?
No.
Is there any vegans here?
No.
Spewing.
We're all vegan.
What a shame.
We've only got some celiacs in the room. And,
See, that's the thing. I mean, like at the moment, gluten intolerance is a big trending thing. Everyone's gluten. Well, it is. Vegetarianism and this, it's a trend. Eat meat. Won't grow animals. Exactly.
In my kitchen upstairs is nut free. I've got kids who've got egg allergies. I've got okay. Sorry. Thank you very much for your time. Hang on for something.
On behalf of everyone here, I'd like to thank you for coming today.
Thanks very much.
Knowledge.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Beautiful. This is the other thing chefs do well.
Don't tell them.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Maybe I'll turn the video off before you finish. All right. Okay.
Just have a blanket thing, like if you're using foreign pans, you need to consider it with your